Welcome back to the session. Today we are going to discuss about the nested loops. And here, what are the main necessity of these nested loops we are going to discuss now. So coming to the nested loops, generally when we want a loop inside a loop, for suppose I want to be printing the rows and columns. Okay. So the rows and columns to be printed, then I'm going to take the nested loops. So generally, but suppose let us consider, so if I want to get printed like this, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, like this. So generally, what does it mean is, so this is the first row that I'm going to print. This is the first row, and this is the second row. Okay, this is the second row, and this is the third row. This is the third row. And we also have a columnar format also here. This is the first column. This is the first column. First column. This is the second column. This is the second column. And this is the third column. This is the third column. So whenever we want the elements to be printed in this kind of format, or the elements to be accessed in this format, means in the matrix format, or in any other kind of format related to rows and columns, then we are going with the nested loops. So we are going with the nested loops. So generally, these nested loops can be taken in terms of for loop or else in terms of while. So we have discussed about while loop also previous session. So we can take in both the things. In Amans, we can take a for loop or we can take a while. So here we are going to take the for loop. For time being, I am going to explain you the entire content in for loop. So what happens here is, see, for in the general format is, so one for loop will be here. This is called the outer loop. This loop is called the outer loop. This loop is called the outer loop. Okay. And internally, after colon, you will be having some separate block. This block is the inner loop block. So this is inner. This is inner. Here, the outer loop, outer for whatever we have written, this entire thing constitutes the outer loop block of statement. And whatever the statements we are writing inside this inner loop, those statements constitute the inner for loop. Okay. So like that, you can also write one more for loop inside that. So these types of loops written internally inside one loop is called nested loop. Nested. So we are here considering if any kind of two-dimensional or three-dimensional or four-dimensional matrices has to be represented, or else any n-dimensional data have to be represented, then we go with the nested loops. So n-dimensional data representation is possible using the nested for loops. So what our program is now, we are going to now consider printing of what is the value of I and what is the value of j when this entire program is run. So let us consider here the I value ranges from 0 to 3. Okay. And j value also ranges from 0 to 3. So generally what happens here, 0 to 3 means I value from 0 to 3 means we have discussed 0, 1 and 2 because 3 will be excluded. So everyone knows this. Now j is also running from 0, 1 and 2. Because 3 will be excluded when we are considering the range. Hope everyone is understand. Now, how it will be printing one by one. Now I am going to trace it. So see here the I value, in the next column, the j value, and the next column, the print value. So what the print value that we are going to write. So first, for the first iteration, so the I will be starting with 0. The I will be starting with 0. And now it is going to enter whether 0 is less than 3, it is going to check. S means it is going to execute the next block of statements. The next block of statements that we are having is for j in range 3. Means here from 0, because we didn't consider 0, from 0. Now I value is 0 and j value is 0. From 0, it is going to print what? I and j. So what are the I and j values? 0 and 0. So this is the first iteration inside the j. So after executing this particular print statement, what happens is it is going to again check the condition in the inner loop. Okay. So first check the conditions in the inner loop, not in the outer loop. First, if the condition fails in the inner loop, then only it will be going to the outer loop. First of all, it has to execute all the inner loop constraints. So hope it is clear. First, this condition has to be true for all the inner loop. So here, now my j value is incremented and incremented to 1. Now 1 is less than 3, right here. So this range we are going to check. So 1 is less than 3. So then what happens is, so it is going to check the condition here. Okay, it is going to check the condition here. And then it is going to now execute again. So now my I value didn't change here, but my j value is incremented to 1. Now it will be printing, now this statement will be executed again. It will be printing 0 and 1. Okay, now my j value is again incremented and incremented to 2. Is 2 less than 3? Yes, this condition is true. Then execute this block of statement. Okay, so what is the value of I? The value of I didn't change, that is 0 only, but the value of j changed to 2, and now it is going to print 0 and 0 and 2. So it is going to print 0 and 2. So after that, again j value have to be incremented. So till now we have incremented till j value is equal to 2. Now what we have to do is, now we have to increment again j value. Is 3 less than 3? Now j value is incremented to 3. Is 3 less than 3? This condition fails. Right? So when this condition fails, what happens now? So when this condition fails, it will be moving backward to the outer loop. Okay. Now my I value will be incremented now. Because this condition failed, now my I value will be incremented to 1. Okay. So is 1 less than 3? Okay. My I value is incremented to 1 now. Is 1 less than 3? Yes. Then again execute these block of statements. Okay. So again executing these block of statements means again j in range 3. From starting onwards, j value will be calculated now because the previous values are erased. Because this is my new iteration now going to happen. Now the new I values again will be starting from 0, 1, 2. Okay. Now the previous values, whatever we are having with j, will be erased now because the inner for loop got executed prior. Now we are again coming out of that and executing the outer for loop. That is the reason again the inner j values will change. Okay. Now for I is equal to 1. So for I is equal to 1, again j will start executing from 0. So again j will be start executing from 0. So j is equal to 0. Here j will be 0 and 1 and 0 will be printed. Now increment the j value. 0 is done. Now incrementing the j value to 1. So j value will be incremented, but I value remains constant because we are not executing the outer for loop. We are executing the inner for loop. Now again print these statements. Now I value is 1 and j value is also it is going to print that. Now again increment the j value to 2. Now 2 is less than 3, the condition is true. That is the reason it will be again executing I and j. So I value is again 1. We are not changing the I value, but the j value changed to incremented to 2. And here it will be printing I and j, that is 1 and 2. So till here, the execution I have explained now. Now the remaining execution, now I am going to explain you. So how it will be there is, now till here the explanation is done. Now what happens here is, so for outer for loop, we have executed for I is equal to 0 and 1. For I is equal to 0 and 1, we have executed. For inner for loop, we have executed for 2 iterations of I. Okay. And now the condition fails at 3 equal to 3. 3 is less than 3 and the condition fails. And now what happens is, it is going to come for the outer for loop. So the outer for loop, again, it is going to be incremented to 2. The outer for loop, it is incremented to 2. And now again from 0, 1, 2, it will be taking those values. All the j range will be again modified to 0, 1, 2. So I, j and print values. So again, I am going to take these I, j and print values and tell you the thing. So what is the new I value now? The new I value is 2 and j will be again starting from 0. So 0 less than 3 is, and now printing, j will be starting from 0 and it will be printing 2 and 0. And again j value will be incremented. J value is being checked here. And if incremented value is less than 3, then it will be printing I and j values. And the next one. Again, it is going to be incremented and again it is going to be printed 2 and 2. Again, j value is incremented and the condition fails here. It will be coming out of the loop and executing the outer loop statements. Okay, and executing the outer loop statement. This statement again, now the I value is incremented to 3, 3 less than 3. Now the condition fails. Now it is going to stop executing the entire thing. Okay, now let us explain, let us do the same thing in ideally. So let us consider ideally, let us consider the program. Now we have considered for, okay, for I in range, now let us consider value 5 or else 3 only. Let us consider the same thing what we have executed prior. For j in range also 3. Okay, now I am going to print the values of I and j, right? I and j. Okay, so I have taken these values now. So I am going to run this, the run module. So I have to save it first. For iteration .py. Okay. See, I got like this 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 0 and 2, 1 and 0, 1 and 1, 1 and 2. That means that, see, 0th row and 0th column. Element in the first element in the 0th row. The second element in 0th row. The third element in 0th row. So this is about the row. Okay. So how the representation will be there is under the 0th row, these will be the values of first column. Okay. And next one is 1 and 0, 1 and 1, 1 and 2. So this is your matrix representation, what you have seen in your mathematics. Okay. So 2 and 0, 2 and 1, 2 and 2. So why did I write one more print statement here? So I wrote here one more print statement. Here I didn't write. So what is the difference is, for every first I iteration, it is going to give you one more space here if I include a print statement here. Okay. So if I include a print here, okay, it is going to give you one more space. So let us run and check how it is going to. See, 0 and 0 after every I iteration. This is 0, I is equal to 0. This is I is equal to 1. This is I is equal to 2. Hope you are understanding. Okay. Again, a small recap I want to tell you. So a small recap of this one. See, the first one here will be okay. The first one here will be, see, for I in range 3, the first thing is, it is going to consider the first iteration of 0. So for 0, what it has to print? For I is equal to 0, what will be the different j values will be 0, 1, 2 will be different j values. So for each j, it has to print. For each j, it has to print. That is, I is 0 and j is 0. I is 0 and j is 1. I is 0 and j is 2. Okay. This is the first iteration of I. The second iteration of I is 1 because I will be incremented and j will be starting from 0, 1, 2 again. So it will be printing I and j. It has to print I and j, no? So it will be printing 1 and 0. And it will be printing I and 1. It will be printing 1 and 2. In the similar way, it is also going to take the next I value as 2. Okay, the next I value as 2. And j value again, it will be starting from 0, 1, 2. So it will be printing 2 and 0, 2 and 1, 2 and 2. So that is only represented here. Hope you are understanding the logic behind the internal for loop. So this is about the execution of nested for loops. So all the nested for loops, that 2 nested for loops we have taken here, and we have chosen here the example of printing I and j values. Okay, thank you.